Hey guys, today we're going to be talking about estimating products. We did talk a little bit about estimation in the notes from yesterday. Always a good idea to estimate an answer before doing the math and see if your answer you get, your actual answer is close. But we didn't actually write down any of the steps, so I'm going to make sure we get that in our notes for today. So we're going to be at lesson 3-2. Estimating products. So yesterday we dealt with adding, subtracting. Today we're going to deal with a product, which is the answer to a multiplication problem. And the date is 9/12/18. Okay, so to estimate, what do we do to estimate? I hope the click-clack doesn't bother you guys too much. It's my Apple Pen. I think I told some of you about that. To estimate, we're going to round each number. Let me get a different color here, blue dark. Round each number. And then I'm going to give you some ideas how to do it. So first off, we got to figure out where we want to round to. So that's going to be our step 1. 1. We're going to underline the digit to be rounded. Okay, so that's our first step. Step 2, we're going to look at the digit to the right. That guy is the one in control. He is going to make a decision as to whether your underlying number stays the same or it increases by 1. So the rule says this. What do we do? So if this digit, and remember we were talking about from the homework the other night, when you hear this, it's referring to what was stated prior, just above this statement. So if this digit is 4 or less, the underlying digit stays the same. Okay. And the second situation is, well, what if it's not 4 or less? So if this digit is 5 or higher, 5 or greater too, the underlying digit increases by 1. So those are your two options. Okay. And then the other thing to remember is after rounding, all place values to the right of the underlined digit will have a value of 0. So again, all those digits that come after where we rounded, they are now going to be replaced with zeros. Now that we've done all that hard work, we finally get to take an operation action, and we are going to multiply. So now multiply. Okay. And how we're, because you could have multiple digits, so where are you going to round? The whole point to estimating products is to make the math as simple as we possibly can. So this is what we're going to end up doing. We're going to round each number, round each number to the greatest place value. Okay, so those are all the rules that I can give you. Let's do a couple of examples. And again, we're not going to ask for the actual answer, we're just going to ask for the estimated answer on these. All right, so I'm going to go to the next page. And our directions are going to say estimate. So EX again stands for examples, estimate. So we're going to do 3 basic ones, and then we're also going to do a word problem. So let's say our original problem, 9.6 times 1.8. So we're going to take each one of those numbers, and we're going to round them. Sorry, I got a frog in my throat. So what we're going to look for, we're going to underline the greatest place value. So the 1s is the greatest place value, the 9 is, and the 1 is. And then we're going to look to the right of each of those to determine what happens. So to the right of the 9 is a 6, to the right of the 1 is an 8. So what that's going to do, it's going to round 9.6 to 10, and it's going to round 1.8 to 2. So we multiply them, and we get 20. So we'd say the product is about, so what that word about means is you've estimated the answer. That's how you let your reader know that it's not the actual answer, but it's an estimated answer. You would say the product is about 20. Now, it's a good habit to get into writing answers as sentences, because that's what the high school is going to eventually ask you to do as well. All right, let's try another one. 68.4 times 21.3. Now, you are going to get some pretty broad estimates sometimes when you round to the greatest place value. It's going to give you a ballpark idea, but it's not going to be necessarily super close to your actual answer would be. But that's okay. We're just trying to get an idea. So we're going to have 68.4 times 21.3. So again, we're going to underline the greatest place value digits, and we're going to draw an arrow over the digit that's going to tell us how to round. Okay? Now notice on the other problem, when I got rid of those decimal values, I didn't replace them with zeros because that would be kind of silly to have 10.0 and 2.0. But here, we are going to need them because we have these 2-digit numbers that we're going to be multiplying. So the 8 is large enough to make that 6 a 7, and now we're going to replace the 1's digit with a 0. So 68.4 is about 70. And then 21.3, the 1 is not large enough to change the 2, so it stays 2, but we replace the 1's digit with a 0, and then we multiply this. And you know, it's really easy to do this math. We're going to get really just 2 times 7, which is 14, and then we're going to have 2 zeros added on. Okay, so the product is about 1,400. Okay, all right, one more like this. We've got 42 and 3/10, and we want to multiply it by 3 and 5/10. So again, we're going to take each one. Now, some people think if you round one number to the ones place and another number to the tenths place, then that's not right. That is better if you round them both to the same place, but then that makes the math a little bit more challenging. So we are going to round 42.3 to the highest place value, which would be the 4 in the tens, and the 3 in the ones for the second number. And then, let's see, we've got a 2 that's going to determine what happens, and here we have a 5 that's going to determine what happens. So let's go ahead and see what we get. 2 is not large enough to change the 4, so 4 stays 4, and we replaced the rest of the digits would be with a 0. 5 is just large enough to change the 3 to the 4, so our problem becomes 40 times 4. So again, we're going to concentrate on the 4 times 4 is 16, and then there's going to be 1 0 that's going to be part of the answer. So when you have an answer or a product where it has zeros at the ends of the numbers, then you don't even have to do long multiplication. This is kind of a shortcut to doing the problem. And then we've got the product is about 1,400. Oh, sorry, 160. I was looking at the other answer. Yep, it's bedtime for Miss Rosner. Okay, I'm going to pause for a moment, and I'm going to actually write down a word problem, and then I'll come back and we'll solve it together. And remember, in your notes, you're going to copy it down as well. All right, hang on. Okay, so through the miracle here, I've written this word problem. So what I'm going to suggest to you is you also stop the tape, copy it down, and then turn it back, or the video, and then turn it back on again when you're ready to listen to what I have to say. So the average walking speed of a person is 4.8 kilometers per hour. Estimate the number of kilometers you could walk in 3 hours. So what I see is the word estimate. So that's going to tell us we're not going to use 4.8 and 3, but we will use 3 because we can't round 3 to anything else. And we're going to use those numbers to help us come up with a rounded answer. Okay, so our key numbers, that's our next thing we need to do is find our key numbers. We've got 4.8 kilometers per hour, and then we've got 3 hours. So those are our numbers. Now, let's just kind of underline as well, what is it that we're solving for? We want to estimate the number of kilometers. Okay, so somehow we need to get kilometers per hour and hours to just be kilometers. Well, I talked to you a little bit about how we're going to be using, doing some conversions, and I like to do them with fractions. So we're actually going to demonstrate the problem this way. Per is a fancy way of saying divide by. So we've got 4.8 kilometers divided by 1 hour. And now I need to get rid of the hours and make the kilometers be the only label. So remember I had that other value of 3 hours. Now I can make him a fraction by giving him a denominator of 1. Now here's the miracle. If I multiply these, hours over hours is like saying 2 divided by 2, and they cancel each other out, giving you 1 in its place. The only label available now is kilometers. Okay, so now we need to do the second bit of this. I know what my answer is going to be. It's going to be in kilometers. So I'm going to put that in already. And then let's go back to our numbers. We have 4.8 times 3. So we're going to take 4.8 and we're going to round it. Remember how we do that? I'm going to change my colors a little bit here. We need to look at 4, and we need to see if 8's going to change it. 8 is large enough according to our rounding rules. We're going to round that up to a 5. So what we're left with is 5 times 3. Oops, sorry, 13. Where'd that come from? 3. See, I'm already trying to solve it. And the answer I get is 15 kilometers. Okay, so what we can say for our answer is you could walk, or a person can walk, about, there's that word telling you that I've rounded my answer, 15 kilometers in 3 hours. And there you go. All right. Thanks for taking your notes today.